Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I went to my very first ever escape room and I had a really good time. And it kind of prompted me to do this reading, which I had been contemplating for a while now, but finally it seemed like the right time. Today's reading is going to be a pick-a-card reading about clues from the cosmos. So you'll see I have some, if you're fans of BBC Sherlock, I have some Sherlock figures here. Sherlock, John Watson, Mycroft, and Jim Moriarty. So if you want to take a moment and contemplate these figures, see what you're drawn to, which pile you're drawn to, then we can begin the reading and see what clues the cosmos is trying to give you about where you are, where you're headed, or what you should be doing. Okay, so for the people who chose Sherlock here, holding this the skull, let's see. We've got the Sherlock Holmes Tarot here. We're going to start with that. Your cards are the Eight of Wands, the King of Pentacles, and the Two of Cups. Okay. And that's not what they're called in this deck. This deck has different names, but I'm going to use the names that most people would recognize when talking about tarot cards. Let's just prop them up a little maybe so you can see them a little better. What I get from this is, let's see, something moving quickly. This King of Pentacles and Two of Cups. What I'm getting from this is a sense of a relationship that's moving very quickly, perhaps, with this person. Now, the King of Pentacles isn't typically a fast-moving person. He's usually pretty methodical. So this may be you, or this may be somebody you know or are involved with. But what's happening is things kind of going faster than this person would normally go or normally like to go, or than you would like to go or are ready for. It doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. He's an inspector in this deck, and I would say that I feel like there's a caution here, a little bit of caution from the cosmos to take your time before committing to anything, to do basically your detective work, right? And be sure that this person is everything you think they are before you commit. Because what seems like a good fit now, maybe there's a honeymoon period involved in this, what seems like a good fit now may not be really. And this may not be a person. This could be a situation. Like maybe you're thinking about switching to a new job and like the job seems perfect or something seems too good to be true. You're seeing like the pentacles, you're seeing the money, and somehow it might not actually be everything you think it is or everything you really want. Let's see what the other cards say. So for Sherlock, we're using the Tarot Noir, the World. Okay. The Five of Swords. And La Force, which is strength, right? So yeah, there's definitely a sense of conflict. The Five of Swords is usually winning at all costs, whether or not it's something you actually want to win, winning for the sake of winning. And again, that's kind of what I'm getting here, is that there's a situation that seems like something you want to win, but you're being cautioned to be sure it is what you really want, to take the time, because like, you know, this is what you're thinking it is. Everything, the world, everything you want. And between the effort and how fast it's going, it seems like smooth sailing, but I just feel like there's something in your situation, whether it's a relationship or something else, but there's something going on that you don't know about yet. And that if you were to win or commit, there's like, I don't know why I'm getting this sense, but it is definitely a sense of there being more to this than meets the eye. Finally, let's do your oracle card. Oh yeah, see, wisdom. There it is. Yes, so that's exactly what the cards are asking you to do. They're asking you to have wisdom, to slow it down a little bit, to, really explore, really inspect the situation, the person, whatever it is, that winning for the sake of it is not going to make you happy. Making more money just for the sake of making more money is not going to make you happy. Oh, what's going on with the light? Is not going to make you happy necessarily in your job. So if you were to switch jobs and you're saying, well, but this job offers me so much more money, that isn't the only way to be happy in a job, right? Like, in some cases, that's not it at all. You could be offered a lot of money for a job you hate. Is it really worth it? And that's what the cards are asking you. Is it really worth it? Whatever it is that you're moving towards, is it really worth it? This win. And that's what your reading is saying here. Something's happening quickly. Something seems really great. Just pump the brakes a little and do your due diligence. And maybe it is. Maybe it'll be great. Maybe there's no problem at all. But just, cross your T's, dot your I's, double check everything, because there's something here that merits further investigation. Okay, so for those of you who chose John, this is your reading. We're going to start with your Sherlock Holmes Tarot cards. Let's see. We have the Ace of Swords. This deck actually has different names for the suits, but I'm going to call them by the suits that most people would recognize. The Prince Consort. That's the Emperor. And the Two of Pentacles. Alright, so let's start with these. The Ace of Swords is truth and clarity, a sharpness of thought, right? The Emperor is control and power. And the Two of Pentacles is like juggling, basically, trying to balance a lot of things. And so already I get the sense of trying to balance work and home life, or trying to exercise a certain amount of control over a situation. Maybe even trying to control your own thoughts. Maybe your thoughts are kind of running away with you right now. And you're trying to kind of nail them down. Your mind's just like racing. You're getting a lot of information and you're trying very hard to kind of organize it in your brain. And I get a feeling of being overwhelmed. And let's see with John we have the Steampunk Tarot, the Knight of Swords, okay, and the Fool. Yeah, so these are really active cards. Like, the Knight of Swords acts on impulse. Often he acts without thinking. And so you've got like this Ace of Swords, which is thought. And you've got this Knight of Swords, which is, you know, the Knight of Swords is the kind of guy who says something without thinking first and then like ends up hurting a bunch of people's feelings or something like that. Yeah, I feel like there's a juggling here of thought and action, of trying to maybe curb your impulse. That Emperor is trying to maybe exercise a little control over the Knight. Then you have the Fool card. And this Fool card is here to talk about basically a new start, starting over. So a new journey or something along those lines. So when I take all these together, I get the sense that maybe wanting to start over with something or someone, and maybe you've said something to hurt someone, or you've behaved in a way that was impulsive and even unintentionally caused some trouble, and you're trying to pin down that and start fresh. But you know, it's difficult. It's difficult to change your habits or the way you do things. You may be tempted to say, well, this is just how I am and people need to come to accept it. The Emperor does tend to be a little bit like that, where he's like, well, just learn to live with it because I'm in charge here. But that's not going to be the way that works out well for you in the long run, I don't think. I think you're going to have to, you know, Two of Pentacles this way, weigh, you know, your impulses against the outcome that you want and behave accordingly. Let's see what your Oracle card says. Oh yeah, look at that, gentleness. You're being told that you need to be more gentle, just flat out. These cards are like, you're kind of running roughshod over people. You know, if you're like a boss and you're using sharp words or a lot of criticism with all these swords here, and you know, and you figure, well, I'm in charge, I'm the Emperor, you know, you're not winning over your underlings at all. And in that case, at the end of the day, they're going to start leaving, and that's going to make you look bad. So a situation like that may be in play, or in any case, you know, this is a general reading. You're being told to maybe start fresh, be a little bit kinder and more gentle with the people around you. You're going to get a better response overall if you are. So if you're, you know, we're talking about your family, if you're thinking about a relationship or a work situation, whatever it is, the cards are cluing you in. Say, look, you're coming across as sharp and domineering, and you need to scale it back a little bit. And that is the big clue for you in this reading. All right, so for those of you who chose Mycroft, let's see what your reading has to say. I'm going to start with our Sherlock Holmes Tarot cards here. We have the Ace of Pentacles. It's called something else in this deck, but I'm using the better known suits when I'm talking about them. The Giant Rat of Sumatra. Okay, we'll talk about that in just a second. And Mrs. Hudson, which is Temperance. Okay. The Giant Rat of Sumatra in this deck is basically a wild card. It's like the weird rune, if you do runes at all. It's well, for me, it's an indicator to draw to the card for more clarity. So let's just shuffle this deck real quick. Oops. Let's go flying. Just gonna I think it's this one. Okay. Oh, Irene Adler. Okay, Irene Adler is the High Priestess in this deck. Okay. Let's just do these like that. Okay. So, Ace of Pentacles, wild card, which can be used to emphasize things as well, and Temperance. And then you've got this use your intuition, which is basically the wild card saying, figure it out. Uh, this is a new start, usually for a project or something material. Not usually a relationship, although this is a general reading, so of course it can be. This temperance is about balancing things out. If you imagine 2 cups, for example, the 2 of cups, and you want everybody to have an equal amount of drink, and you're trying to even out the cups. And then the High Priestess, who always knows more than she's telling. Interesting. It's almost like the cards don't want to give us you know what, let's just... So this is the Raven Prophecy, 9 of Coins, 4 of Cups. Okay. Okay, so, this is about being comfortable where you are and uninterested in moving on. It's about being stagnant and happy with that. Okay? If I take even temperance, which is balanced, and this, which is you've reached a certain place and you haven't gotten to the end. It's a 9, not a 10. You haven't reached that final level, but it seems like you're disinclined or unmotivated to take the extra step to get to the 10 for whatever reason. Maybe it's a little bit scary. You need basically you need this Ace of Pentacles. You need this last pentacle to get to your complete 10, right? But maybe it's a little bit scary. Maybe, you're like, but I'm very comfortable here, and I don't want to do anything to shake up what I have. And you're kind of in stasis. And this High Priestess is basically saying, you know what you need to do. You know deep down what needs to happen. And it's on you to take that step. The aces are new beginnings, right? You need that new beginning to complete your 10, right? And it's on you to take that step. And it just seems like you're stuck, but you don't see yourself as stuck. You see yourself as quite happy and comfortable and everything. And that may be true. But you're not going to achieve anything more until you take the next step. All right, so let's see what your oracle card is. Reflection. Yeah, so the 4 of Cups, that's also a very reflective card. Look, they're actually, the crows here are reflected. Usually the traditional card has the guy sitting kind of staring off into space, and he doesn't want the cup that's being offered to him, and he doesn't want any, and you really need to stop and think. The cards want you to stop and think about what it is you really want to achieve. You need to set a goal, because you're kind of coasting. You've kind of settled right now. You're kind of just, doing your thing and not thinking too hard about, like, so you can see that a little bit more. You're not thinking, about what's next, or you're trying not to think about what's next, what to do next, what your next steps are, what your next goal should be. You're like, oh, but I made it here, just let me enjoy it for a while, and that's fine. But if you let a car sit too long, it just kind of leaves ruts, right? And then it gets harder and harder to get it out of those ruts. And that's what you're being warned about. You're being warned, enjoy what you have. The Nine of Coins is a card of enjoying what you have. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, and the Four of Cups is reminding you to enjoy. But at the same time, you should be at some point planning that final pentacle, that final ace, so that you can complete your 10. You can, you know, have that material security. You can have that legacy. Maybe you need to plan for retirement. Maybe you need to, you know, start that 401k. You're like, oh, I've got a good job and I'm making good money, but you haven't like started planning for the future, and you need to. And the cards are just telling you that right now. Last but not least, we have our Moriarty group, Jim. Let's see what the cards say for you. The 5 of Cups. Okay. As I've mentioned in other readings before this Sherlock Holmes Tarot deck uses different suits, but I'm calling them by the suits most people would recognize. The Peeler, which is the Knight of Pentacles. And the 7 of Pentacles. Okay, so the 5 of Cups is regret, or perceived loss is another way that I sometimes characterize it. It's about focusing on what you don't have rather than what you do have. And then you have this Knight of Pentacles and you have this 7 of Pentacles. The 7 of Pentacles is about something that's growing and bearing fruit, and it's almost as if someone is focused on what they don't have and ignoring what's growing. And then we have this Knight of Pentacles here, and I don't know if that's you or someone you know. Since this is a general reading, it can be difficult to tell. I get the sense it's someone else. It's someone who is very methodically, very carefully, you know, planning a strategy. And so it almost seems to me that maybe you're focused on a loss, probably an emotional loss, but it could be, you know, money or material loss of some kind. It is a general reading. And this person over here is working away at creating more, planting seeds, nurturing those seeds, getting ready to harvest those seeds. And you are like just not even noticing because you're so consumed by your own, you know, grief or regret, or you know, you're looking at the wrong thing. You're not looking at what you have or what is possible, because you're looking back at what you've lost or what you don't have. So let's see, these Victorian Steampunk Tarot cards. We've got the King of Swords, King of Bees, but it's swords, and then the 5 of Moths, which is wands. Okay, so again, someone critical, someone very sharp, very smart. These may be 2 traits of the same person. Somebody who's methodical, but also really, really like smart. But also like a little bit critical, in a way where their words are sharp and can come off wrong. And then this 5 of Wands, which is a conflict. We've got 2 5s here. We've got some conflict going on. This is an active card. It can mean confusion or disagreement. And I do get the sense that maybe you and this other person don't see eye to eye on how to make this happen. Whatever this is, whatever this project or you know, whatever you're trying to grow, you and someone are not, you don't agree on how to get there, on which fertilizer to use, on where to plant it, on, you know, whether or not it's time to harvest yet, whatever it is, whether this is a working relationship or a romantic relationship or anything, there is a definite disagreement going on here. But the focus for one of you is in the wrong place, is a big part of the problem. And let's see what the Oracle card says. Oh, gratitude. Well, there you go. There you go. That's it. That's it. Whoever this is, I feel like it's you, but it may not be. But whoever this is who's fixated on what is gone needs to cultivate an attitude of gratitude, as they say. They say, in psychology, they say that every day you should write down 3 good things that happened that day, no matter how small. Write down 3 good things. There's always at least 3. And over time, you retrain your brain to focus on the positive rather than the negative. And you end up a happier person overall in life. And that's what the cards are trying to clue you in on here. They're saying, look, everybody has losses, some more than others. I'm not saying that whatever you've lost wasn't precious, or that you have no right to grieve if you're grieving. But at the same time, you need to kind of refocus, and instead of fighting, over, pick your battles, but it's just be grateful. Just be grateful for whoever is here to help you, even if they're going slower than you want, or even if you feel like they're being more critical than you would like. Be glad they're there, that you're not doing it alone. Make sure that they know that you appreciate them and the work that they're doing on your behalf. Again, whether that's somebody you're in a relationship with, whether that's a family member, whether that's a coworker, just take time to thank the people in your life. And just refocus away from your losses and more towards what you do have and where there's potential. Like what you can grow, what you can create, because there are people here to help you. These can be 2 different people that are the same person, but they're here to use their wisdom and their strategy, their ability to plan and build on your behalf. And even when you don't see eye to eye, thank them for their input, for their advice. Even if you don't plan to take it, just thank them and say, thank you. I hadn't thought about it that way, or, I see it differently, but thank you for caring enough to even, try to help me when I don't want help or whatever. But just that's what the universe is telling you right now, that's where you need to be, in your, as far as your headspace goes. Okay.